All right, y'all, we got a great episode for you guys today. What we're going to be talking about is our master coach thesis. What the heck does that mean? That sounds super fancy. Well, I think it is. What our master coach thesis is, we have a program in our product suite. Well, we have two programs in our product suite. We have certified coach, which the goal is to help brand new online coaches go from $0 to $20,000 a month. And then we have our master coach program where we help students go from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month. All right. And what we created most recently, because as you guys know, we revamped NLCA and we've just launched NLCA 2.0, is we created our master coach thesis, which is our 3-step process on how we take students from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And I want to share that with you guys today. So we are about to dive in. If you are a beginner and you're like, man, I'm not making $20,000 a month, I don't know if this podcast is for me, I still think this podcast is for you. Why? Because if you have goals and aspirations of making $100,000 a month, I still think it's important for you to learn these steps. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for, the NLCA Master Coach Thesis. Let's go ahead and break it down. All right, so what is this thesis? This is our thesis in order to get online fitness coaches from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And the way that we came to this thesis, hold on, let me fix that really quick. The way that we came to this thesis is we've looked at the students that have achieved that feat. And I've also looked at my own personal business experience and asked myself, what were the major necessary steps in order to achieve the feat of making $100,000 a month? So what you're going to see in each of these phases are the greatest leverage points. All right. So obviously, there's a lot of day-to-day operations that have to happen in between all these different leverage points here. But if we're talking super high level, what are the actual moves that you have to make to go from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month? It is not a lot of moves. It is not a lot of moves on the chessboard here. All right. So just keep in mind, if you're asking yourself, well, what about daily sales calls? And what about hiring VAs and DMers and this and that and the other thing? Those are all necessary steps, but I view those as day-to-day operations and not greatest leverage points. All right. So once again, when I go through the phases, this is the most high level things, the things that if you do these, they have the greatest leverage on the growth of your business. All right. So we've identified that there are 3 phases to going from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month. All right. Phase 1, we are calling this the stabilization phase. All right. So there are 3 things that we are trying to accomplish in the stabilization phase. We are stabilizing your product suite, which I'll go a little bit deeper on in a minute. And the goal of that is to increase lifetime value. Like I said, I'll go a little bit deeper on that in a minute. Number 2 is leadership phase 1, where we specifically focus on the soft skills of leadership. And then number 3, which is recreating a strong sales process. All right, let's go a little bit deeper on phase 1 here. All right, so phase 1, what we're going to be teaching you is we're going to teach you how to stabilize your product suite. So essentially what that means is we need a consistent downsell, which we are going to teach you the NLCA group coaching funnel. We also need our main core offer to be solidified. And then we need an ascension program. All right. So an ascension program, if you've gone through NLCA, maybe you went from certified coach to master coach. Master coach is the ascension program for certified coach. Certified coach solves a particular problem. However, it creates a new problem. Teaches you how to scale to $20,000 a month, but it doesn't solve going past that. Right? So insert master coach. And now we have a program that teaches you specifically how to solve the next problem that certified coach created. So pulling this into a fitness context, let's say your first program is really just focused on their initial transformation, but it doesn't really build the long sustainable habits that create true transformation. All right. So insert a sustainability program or a habit building program after your initial transformation program. And that could be an ascension program. All right. I will go even deeper on this stuff in a minute. Like I said, we're keeping this really high level, but I have like actual numbers to show you this stuff. All right. So that's what we're going to do with your product suite. We're going to have a solidified downsell, stabilize your core offer, and then also create an ascension program. All right, from there, we are going to define client success metrics. All right, so we can no longer take a guessing game on if your program is actually getting results or if your program is actually a 5-star program, right? Instead, we actually need to have solidified data points to measure if clients are getting results and the success of your program. Because program and product is how we get to $100,000 a month. If we do not have a successful product, then it is not necessary to spend a bunch of money on ads and really advertise and market to a broken product. All right, because then all you're doing then is you're scaling problems. All right, you're expediting the process in which people find out that your program really isn't that good, and then the worst thing happens, which is negative word of mouth. And then you don't get to have the benefit of having positive word of mouth. I don't know if you remember this back from Certified Coach, but referrals are the only compounding lead generation method that we have. All right. All other lead generation methods are linear. The more effort or the more money you put in, the more you get in return. With referrals, it's a friend tells a friend who tells a friend who tells a friend. It's a compounding effect. The only way to create that compounding effect is by having an amazing, amazing, amazing product. And referrals is the fastest way to grow your business at the lowest cost. All right. If you have to dump a ton of money into advertising because your product really isn't that good and you have to continue to spend in order for people to buy instead of just having word of mouth, which doesn't cost the business literally anything, then what you're going to notice is your marketing expenses are going to go up. It's going to shrink. It's going to shrink the profits over time. And eventually you have a nonprofit business and you're not making any money and you're working for free. Yay. Nobody wants that. Okay. So that's why we're so product focused on phase one, because we're trying to create the positive effects of positive word of mouth, because it has zero cost on the business and it can grow the business indefinitely. All right. I know I went kind of deep on that one, but that's why we're defining clear client success metrics to make sure that this program is getting 5-star reviews, so that when we do scale it in phase two, we're really compounding the positive word of mouth. All right, and then ascension and retention. We've kind of already talked on that, but the main goal here, there's only ever 2 ways to grow a business. You either make your customers more valuable or you sell more customers. That's it. So what we're doing in phase one here is we're making customers more valuable by allowing them to create referrals because the product is so good, but also increasing their lifetime value by giving them an ascension program, which means they buy once and then they buy again. And I have a math equation where I'm going to show you all this here in a second. All right, so that's literally just point one of phase one. All right, moving on to point two. So in addition to product, the next thing that gets you from $20,000 a month to $100,000 a month is your ability to lead. And the reason that is true is because at this point, if you want to get to $100,000 a month, you cannot do it as a sole person in your company, as the person who's doing everything. You need to transfer the way that you think, the way that you behave, and the skills that you have onto other individuals that you are going to hire into your company. And the failure to do that is also the failure to get to $100,000 a month. All right, so if we're talking about 2 things that really scale, it's leadership, which is the transfer of knowledge, skills, and character traits. All right, and having a really rock solid program. All right, so what we're going to teach you, and we're chunking out leadership into 3 phases, is in phase one, we'll teach you leadership phase one, which is the soft skills of leadership. All right, the last step here in phase one is going to be recreating a strong sales process. Okay, so here's why. We just stabilized the product suite. We just gave you the skills of leadership. Now we need to make sure that the system that sells the product that we just focused on is rock solid before we really start cranking up ad spend, scaling acquisition, diversifying our marketing channels. Before we do all of that, we have to have these 3 things in place. We have to have a good product. We have to have an ascension program. We have to have leadership. We have to have a rock solid sales process. Because if we don't have those things, like I said, if we're just going to start throwing money at your marketing machine, the only thing we're going to do is we're going to scale problems. We're going to scale a bad product. We're going to have a leader that can't actually lead their team. And now they have all these problems and they feel chaotic and their business is just all over the place. It's a mess. And then we're also going to have a sales process where we're spending all this money on marketing, but we're not actually selling to the clip that we need to be selling in order to actually scale. All right. So those are the three things that we need to focus on right in the beginning in the stabilization phase. Once we've achieved stabilization, we then can move on to phase 2, which is scaling. 4 things happen in scaling. We need to scale acquisition, which essentially means we need to look at the ways that we are getting leads right now and not ignore how we've already gotten leads to this day and continue to improve what is already working. All right, your greatest leverage right now is not adding more marketing channels to your company, but it's taking what you have and what you're already good at and making it better and expanding it even more. All right. In addition to that, we will diversify and add in one additional marketing channel to stack on top of what is already working for you. As a result of scaling acquisition, we are now going to have the necessity to scale a sales team. And that is a skill. Excuse me. That is a skill. So we are going to transfer that skill over to you where you can scale a sales team and manage a sales team at a very high level so they can execute this process that we just stabilized. All right. Step 3 in the scaling process is now that we've scaled acquisition and we're getting a bunch more leads, and now we've scaled our sales team and we're closing a bunch more deals. That means we are increasing the amount of clients that we sold per month. So if phase 1 is about making the clients worth more, phase 2 is about selling more. All right. So remember, there's only 2 ways to grow your business. You can either sell more clients or you can make them worth more. In phase 1, we made them worth more. In phase 2, we're teaching you how to sell more. Okay. So what that means is if we're bringing in more clients, that means the operational demand has increased, which means that we're going to have more coaches, we're going to have more VAs, we're going to have more DMers, we're going to have more closers. And it's impossible for you to manage all these departments because your bandwidth is already so short. So step 3 in phase 2 is hiring the first level of management. And what this looks like is getting in a solidified coach manager who also acts as your client success manager. That may be a new term for you, but we'll explain when we get to that module. Bringing in an operations manager, which will be your number 2 in your business, an operator. The goal of an operator is to scale. And then lastly, bringing in a sales manager, somebody who can manage the scaling sales team so that you can continue to focus on the marketing aspect. All right. And then number 4, the 4th thing that we're going to do in phase 2 is now that we've developed the soft skills, we've scaled acquisition, but now we've brought in the first level of management. So now you need to learn how to lead leaders. And that's what we're going to teach you in phase number 2. All right. Phase 1 and phase 2 can get you to $100,000 a month by itself. The purpose of phase 3 isn't necessarily to move you past that point. The purpose of phase 3 is to stabilize the business once it gets to that $80,000 to $100,000 a month range. Once you are $1 million company, there are things that need to be put in place to professionalize the business in order to set it up to continue to scale past $100,000 a month, if that is what you so choose. So what we're going to do in phase 3 is the sole goal of this phase is to create a professional organization of the business. And secondly, we're going to institute the final stage of leadership that we're going to teach you, which we're calling leadership phase 3. All right, let's go a little bit deeper into the writing here. So I've kind of talked off the cuff for a little bit. Let's go into what I've prepared in writing here. So phase 1, actually, let me take a sip of water really quick. All right, phase 1, the stabilization phase is all about systemizing your product suite, increasing customer lifetime value, defining clear client success metrics, streamlining a strong sales process, and developing level 1 leadership skills. Specifically with the product, the thought process here is we must plug the holes before we scale. Otherwise, we are just scaling problems, which will perpetuate the death of the business. For example, if client retention and success is not where it needs to be, and we just jumped right into scaling acquisition, it would only speed up the process of the market meaning your potential client base, finding out that your product isn't 5-star, which would make it extremely difficult to counteract. It's best to make sure our product is in a great spot before bringing it to the masses. Additionally, by making the product suite have a proper downsell, a proper core offer, in an ascension program, we can increase customer lifetime value, which in return scales the business. All right, here's what I mean about phase one solely being about increasing customer lifetime value. Here's the example. Watch this. So let's say that your current average client length of term is 6 months. And after 6 months, clients feel like they got what they needed. What if we were able to ascend those clients into a longer term ascension program? Look at this math. So let's say you sign 240 new clients a year, which is 20 clients a month, who stay an average of 6 months, and over those 6 months pay you an average of $3,000. Revenue without an ascension program would be estimated at about 720,000 with this current with your current numbers here. All right, let's say that you had a 12-month ascension program to promote sustainable health habits, and 30% of clients joined your ascension program. Let's say that program, which is 12 months long, is $5,000, right? So if on average you're collecting $3,000 over the course of 6 months, let's say that your ascension program for a year is about $5,000 contracted. All right, and keep in mind, let's say that 30% of your 240 clients joined the Ascension program. All right, so previously your revenue was estimated to be about $720,000. This is pre-Ascension program. All right, watch this. So you take your 240 clients, you multiply that by 30%. That means that 72 of your 240 clients would ascend into that next program. 72 clients times $5,000 is an additional $360,000 a year. Revenue with an ascension program would be estimated over $1 million. So look at the power of this. Like I said, there are two ways to grow your business. You either make them worth more or you sell more of them. And in this example, we made them worth more because they originally spent $3K with us over 6 months. Now they're spending an additional $5K with us to stay for 18 months. All right, so now our average length of term has gone up, and the average amount that we're collecting per client has gone up as well. It went from 3,000 to 8,000, which is more than double, which means that your clients become more than double the value of what they were previously, just simply by giving the option for them to ascend into a longer term program that solves a different problem. You may be asking yourself right now, well, why don't I just resell them into the current program they're in? Well, maybe they don't view that as solving the next problem that they have. So if you have a program that is specific to the problem that your first program creates, it increases the likelihood that they will want to stay more and pay more as a result to solve that next problem. And as a result of that, your business grows from this to this in this example. All right, so that covers the product part of phase one. Let's talk about the leadership process of phase one. So in phase one, we're going to teach you the soft skills of leadership. Leadership is the next skill you must master to go from 6 to 7 figures. You, as a one-person operation, cannot sustainably get to and stay at 7 figures. It takes an army, which means you need the ability to lead that army, convey your mission and values, as well as transfer your skills to said army. The inability to lead is the quickest way to feel like you're spinning your wheels and burning out. So right now you may be feeling like, holy shit, I'm doing everything. I'm not quite sure how much longer I can do this. That's the importance of leadership here and transferring your skills to other people to do it for you. All right, and then lastly, the sales process, right? So we choose to recreate your sales process in phase one to accommodate scaling acquisition in phase two. If we don't have a solid and repeatable sales process, it will be hard to operate at high volume when we start pushing acquisition more. Additionally, it will be hard to train others to operate this process as well. All right. Let's go over the writing for phase two. All right. So phase one is about making your clients more valuable. Phase two is about acquiring more clients. So this is the scaling phase. This is where we take a solid product with a great leader and a strong sales process and start promoting it to the masses. In phase one, we focused on increasing lifetime value and making the clients more valuable. In phase two, we focus on increasing the amount of clients sold. As we increase and diversify acquisition, we need to learn how to scale and lead a sales team to accommodate the inflow. As client sign-ons increase, the frontline roles, VAs, sales reps, coaches, build out, and the need for managers will be prevalent. This is where we hire the first level of leadership. Lastly, as a result of hiring the first level of leadership, you will need to institute level 2 leadership skills. All right, scaling acquisition. So like I said, there are only two ways to grow a business. You either sign more clients or you make them worth more. We just made them worth more by creating an Ascension program. Now we need to increase the amount of sign-ons that we have per month. Here's the math. All right, so let's say you sign 360 new clients a year. That's 30 clients a month, and that's a 67% increase from the previous example, right? The previous example was 20 clients a month. And let's say they continue to stay an average of 6 months and they pay you $3,000 over that time. All right, revenue without an Ascension program would be over $1 million. So simply, like I said, if we take the previous example, which was signing 20 clients a month, and we just sold 10 more clients a month, so went from 20 clients a month to 30 clients a month, that's a 67% increase. And our lifetime value stayed the same. The amount that they paid over that length of term stayed the same. Our business would go from 720,000 to just over $1 million. All right, let's say that you coupled that with an Ascension program. So not only did you increase the amount of clients that you sold, but now you're making them worth more. Let's say that you have that 12-month Ascension program. Let's say 30% of those clients join, and let's say they pay a price of $5,000 to extend an additional year with you. All right, so now we take 360 clients, multiply it by 30. That means 108 clients are going to go into your Ascension program. 108 clients times 5K is an additional $540,000. And now a business that has scaled acquisition and increased lifetime value is doing 1.6 million a year. Ta-da! Excuse me, ta-da! You're making $135,000 a month. Pretty simple, right? Pretty cool. All right. Phase 3, this is the professionalizing phase. All right, so the sole goal of this phase is to create a professional organization of the business to support future growth beyond $100,000 a month. Lastly, this phase is about instilling leadership level 3 skills. All right, that is the thesis. I hope that jacks you up. It jacked me up writing it.